Hello! Welcome to Focus on Fun, a history and crafts video from the Museum of the City of New York, created in collaboration with Project Kid. I'm Maeve Montalvo, Director of Education at the museum's Frederick A. Schwartz Education Center. In today's video, you'll learn a little about the history of photography in New York City, and for our craft, Amanda Kingloff of Project Kid will take you step by step through the process of creating your own pretend camera using cardboard and other household items. While you're watching the video, feel free to pause at any time so that you can go gather materials or stop and watch how to do a step again. We're talking about cameras today because cameras take photographs, and we love photographs here at the Museum of the City of New York. In fact, we have over 300,000 prints and negatives in our collection. Historic images can help us peer into the past. They can help us look at what New York City used to look like, and they can also help us understand and see how people used to live. This image is a daguerreotype, an early type of photography that captured an image on a metal plate. This photograph is one of the oldest in the museum's collection. It was taken in Brooklyn in 1848, less than 10 years after the daguerreotype process was invented. The camera craze had spread quickly to New York City, and while taking a photograph was still a complex process and most people had never had their photo taken, by the time this man stood in front of this farmhouse in Brooklyn, there were already over a dozen different establishments, galleries, and studios in Manhattan for the taking and displaying of daguerreotypes. In this photograph from 1886, we see a photographer standing next to a camera that's on a tripod, or a stand with 3 legs. The tripod helped to keep the camera steady so the image wouldn't blur. Some photographers still use tripods like this today to help to keep their camera steady, but back then, in the early days of photography, it was essential. It could take several minutes to take just one photograph. The subjects, or the people sitting for the photograph, would have to sit very still to make sure that there was no blurring in the image. This was to allow the camera enough time to work, or really to allow the light entering the camera to have enough time for the chemical process that resulted in the photographic image to take place. That's very different than taking a photograph today. Today, cameras are so small that many people carry them around right in their pockets inside of their phones, and taking a photograph can be as quick as this. Over the last 180 years, camera technology has evolved greatly, and New York City has been a central location where people have come to invent new photo technologies, and also where photographers have come to take photographs and to learn from others to hone their craft. Throughout the 20th century, cameras became smaller and easier to carry around, allowing more people to take images everywhere. This photograph from 1946 shows a young woman who's taking a photograph near Rockefeller Center. This photo was part of a series of a number of photographs that were taken to go along with an article in Look magazine titled "Everyone is Taking Pictures." Our curator of prints and photographs says that the history of photography can be considered to be the history of the changing of technology. Now get ready to create your own cardboard camera craft with Project Kid. I hope you have fun. Stick around after the video to see some more historic images from the Museum of the City of New York's collection.
Hi, I'm Amanda Kingloff from ProjectKid.com. I'm so happy to be here with the Museum of the City of New York to do my favorite thing in the world, crafting. Project Kid is a website devoted to helping families do creative craft projects using materials that you find around the house, traditional craft supplies, little bits of nature. And today we're gonna need a cardboard food box, a jar lid, 2 bottle caps, a drinking straw. What on earth are we making today? We are making a camera, complete with a lens, a viewfinder, a button on top, and then we are going to design our own Polaroid photographs of our favorite spots of New York City. So gather up your supplies and let's get crafting. To make this camera craft, you need a cardboard food box, various size caps and lids, glue, colored pencils, scissors, a drinking straw, various colored cardstock, a piece of ribbon, twine, rope, or string, and optional a pom-pom. The first thing you need to do to make your camera is to take apart your food box. I'm using a popcorn box, but an oatmeal box would work, or any other food box. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your straw, it can be paper, plastic, it could be one of these wide ones that's used for smoothies and bubble tea, or a regular one, and you're going to cut it to about the height of your box, or the depth of your box. So I'm going to hold it right there, measuring it against the side, and I'm just going to cut it. So I'm keeping this end. Now I'm going to trace the end of my straw right where I want my viewfinder to be in my camera. The viewfinder is what you look through to take the picture. So I'm going to take my straw and I am going to draw a little circle around it right on the inside of the box. I'm using the inside of the box so I don't have to worry about covering up brand names and words and all that good stuff. I have a circle right here of the straw. Now I want to cut this out. So the easiest way to do this, and you'll probably need a grown-up to help you so you don't hurt yourself, is to take the end of a scissor and poke a hole right in the center of that circle. And then instead of cutting out a perfect circle, just cut little slits from the center to the outside of the circle. I would say like 3 or 4 slits. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be pretty. And then just take your straw and push it straight through that hole. Like this. And the next thing you're gonna do is once you poke it through, you are going to trace it on the other side of the box, right on the inside, which is now our inside. I'm gonna trace it and repeat the same steps. Poke a hole and cut 3 or 4 slits. So now I have my second hole on the back, and I'm just gonna take my straw and again, push it through the hole. So now it goes through the front and the back, creating a viewfinder to look through to take your pictures. Now we wanna make the box a box again. So we're gonna fold in the flaps. If it comes undone, that's okay. We're gonna add a little glue along where it was ripped apart. So I'm going to squeeze it closed. You want to make sure it gets a good seal. If you have tape, you can glue it and then put a piece of tape there just temporarily to hold it shut. And then you're going to do that to one of the sides, the side that would otherwise be closed. This side I'm going to leave unglued. It's the side that has the tab, and we're going to store something really fun inside there. Now it's time to decorate the body of the camera. That's what the main part of the camera is called. So I have some colored craft paper. So I'm just gonna take it and just kind of create a nice little front face of my camera. So I'm just gonna sort of eyeball it and cut across and glue my yellow paper onto the front of the camera. I'm going to place it right there. You can use paper, you can use tape, you could use markers. You could really use whatever you like. And then to give it a little authentic look, I'm going to add some black stripes on the sides. So I have here a piece of black cardstock, and I'm just going to cut 3 strips. But again, this is completely personal. You can do whatever you want. You can write your name, you can write anything, you can do anything you want to decorate your camera. So now I'm going to glue 1 black stripe on this side and 2 on this side. You could use stickers. I mean, honestly, there are no rules here when designing your own staycation camera. And now it's time to add the lens. I am using a peanut butter jar lid. You could use any jam jar, mayonnaise, anything you have. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this little pom-pom on the back and then attach it right here. And the reason we put the pom-pom there is because then when it's glued down, it gives us the opportunity to kind of twist and turn this like we're focusing a real camera. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue this little pom-pom to the back of my lid, right in the center. And then I'm gonna put a little dot of glue on the pom-pom and glue that right onto the body of the camera. And again, if you don't have the pom-pom, it's not a big deal. You will still have so much fun making and playing with your camera. And then to get the center of the lens, we're gonna use a slightly smaller, darker cap. I have a brown cap. If you have a black cap, that would be great, or a dark blue cap, anything would work. And I'm just gonna add little dots of glue around it and press it right in the center. And here's our lens. And now we need to add a shutter release, which is the button that you push on the top of the camera to take the picture. So I'm using another little bottle lid, and I'm just gonna add glue right around the edge. Just little dots of glue. And put it right on top here. And cameras always have lots of dials and knobs and lots of fun buttons. So I'm gonna add one little piece of straw, extra straw from my viewfinder, and put it right here on top. And now for the final touch, you need a strap because you need to be able to carry your camera. So I have this thin little rope. You could use ribbon, string, twine, whatever you have, and just glue it right to the inside of the box so that you have a cute little strap. And now we have to make the photographs. And now what would this fun camera be if we didn't produce photographs? So I have made Polaroid style pictures. I just drew a black square on white rectangle paper. I have my colored pencils, and you can draw pictures of your favorite spots in New York City. You can draw pictures of your favorite park. Here are some examples that my kids did. They did the Wonder Wheel at Coney Island, the Statue of Liberty, always a favorite, a picture of King Kong on the Empire State Building. And then you can use the end of your camera to store your photos. And that's how you make an upcycled cardboard camera. I hope you liked it.
I hope you've enjoyed crafting your camera. Now think about what kinds of images you're going to draw to put inside. You could start by drawing people or creating a portrait of a person that shows their personality or what they like to do. This photograph of a young girl on rollerblades was taken by the photographer Mel Rosenthal, a photographer, educator, and activist who liked to travel around the city to capture what he saw. He said, "I'm not an artist, I'm a messenger. I go to a place to see what's going on, bring it back for people to see, and then I go to the next place." Speaking of travel, you could draw a picture of how people get around in the place where you live, like this photograph of New Yorkers riding the subway. Or you could try to draw something that's familiar, but see it through a different or unique angle. This image here is called City Arabesque, and it's a photograph by the photographer Berenice Abbott. She came to New York City when she was 20 years old. The photograph shows the familiar tall buildings of Manhattan, but she's photographed it in a different way through this iron rooftop railing that gives it a new look. Or you could even capture an image of what you see right outside your own window. In this photograph, we can see that there's a crowd who've gathered around a woman who's walking several dogs. I wonder what's going on here. The photographer was a man named Stanley Kubrick. Later, he became a famous film director. But before he became famous, he was a kid from the Bronx, and he took this image when he was just 19 years old. Thank you for joining us for this session of History and Crafts from the Museum of the City of New York and Project Kid. I hope you'll join us again for another video soon. If you want to take a picture and share on social media what you've done today for your craft, we are at Museum of City NY, and you can use the hashtag MCNYKids. We'd love to see what you've created. For more great craft ideas, visit Project Kid at projectkid.com. And finally, to learn more about New York City, to read great stories and see images from the city's past like what we've looked at today, visit us at the Museum of the City of New York, www.mcny.org.